So good day, dear colleagues. Today we are going to speak about using video, and I remind you, my name is Tatiana Valerievna Машинец, and I'm an English teacher of the Nazarbayev Intellectual School of Astana. So the topic of this lesson is working with video, and I think it is very interesting because, for example, if you have the motto, like any other teacher, for example, you are lazy but want an interesting lesson, just do it yourself. Because if you want to do nothing at the lesson, of course, you should be ready beforehand. It's a joke, but the work with video is very serious, and the objectives of them is to enlarge the knowledge in methodological practice, to give some tips how to develop skills in for-speech activities through the usage of the video of different kinds. And you shouldn't remember that the English language is very popular in our country, and it gives good opportunities for any person in gaining not only the language skills, but it opens the wide way for getting either information or education abroad, as well as making friends with the peers all over the world. So, and when we are speaking about the English language as the school subject, we realize that motivation to learn the language itself is falling down every year. So students consider topics from the textbooks to be not very interesting and not very necessary for their study. So, and the question is, why does it happen? Why there is no great motivation as it was, for example, some years ago? From one side, it is not very interesting maybe to study something stable and hardly changed during the years, when the internet provides upgraded information almost every day or every hour. So, why to make yourself think or analyze if you can find ready answers for control works or home tasks, for summative, formatives, and for any reports, researches, and so on? So, the question for the teacher to answer is how to increase the interest to the English language, how to make students learn according to the curriculum. One of the ways out in this situation is to use video on the lessons. Video is a very useful thing when you want to develop students' skills in listening, speaking, and writing with the help of visual interpretation, or in simple words, visual pictures of different kinds. So, because you know that most of our students like to watch cartoons, films, but they do it maybe and they are eager to watch the films or cartoons in the Russian or Kazakh language, but we should give them opportunity to understand that they can watch the films and cartoons in the English language, and it also will be easier for them to understand or make any tasks connected with the films. So, visual texts can be of various types. So, the short learning films, thematical educational programs, feature films, or documentaries. And usage of a certain type of the visual text depends on the lesson topic and the tasks or maybe aims the teacher wants to achieve during the lesson. So it depends on your, again, creativity and your maybe task. What do you want them to develop in themselves? So, but the work with audio and video material requires great preparational work of the teacher himself. So if he wants to make the watching more productive and useful, because the teacher should think not only about the tasks, but even what film to choose, what genre of the film should be chosen for the lesson, then the length of the film or maybe parts of the film, and everything should be thought beforehand. So think deeply about the aim of the film usage, you can take into account what skills are necessary to develop and what useful knowledge students will gain during the video lesson. You shouldn't give them the whole film, for example, in the English language, and give only the questions strict to the content of the scene images. You can differentiate the task beginning with the easiest task, answer the questions about the scene events, and it can be given for the students who are not maybe very keen on the English language. And the final task may be to discuss the topic or issues appeared during the watching some extracts, or it is possible to link ideas with the live situation or global events. You can ask them maybe some conceptual questions or give them disputable question after watching any extracts. Moreover, describing the events watched in the video or expressing own attitude to the scene information, the students will develop their ability to compare, gain, analyze, as well as to improve skills in creativity, critical thinking, and logics, and gives own ideas and evaluation to everything they have learned or seen. It is also very important because you should have a kind of reflection. What is the, maybe not impact, but what is the impression they got after watching film, or what was they feeling while watching the film, and why it happened. From another point of view, involving students into discussion, we as teachers can follow not only learning objectives, but help each student to understand his or her place in the surrounding world and to determine which sides of the student's personality they have to work at, or which approach to the learning they should develop in them, what they can improve in their character, or it will be a kind of advice to behave in some situations. So, what are the main outcomes of the usage of video at the lesson? So, the first, video develops the skill to listen and hear at the original speed of the film. So you needed to make it slower or to make it faster, but you will show the extract with the original speed of the film in order to give the maybe idea, the notion that they can understand everything and not only the pictures themselves. So the second, it is giving various tasks for individual and group work. The teacher helps not only listen to and watch, but develop their thinking abilities, skills and analyzing, and increase their wish to express own opinion. Again, when we are speaking about expressing own opinion of the students, it means that it is not necessary for the student to have the same opinion with the teacher's one. So it's better to give them opportunity to express their own opinion, sometimes maybe negative or against the teacher's opinion. But you should remind them that if they can give good justification of their opinion, of their ideas, with good samples, maybe from the books, or maybe from their school life, or from the life of their friends, I think it will help them maybe to create the atmosphere of understanding between the students and the teacher. So the third idea is students will not be afraid of communication, because every time speaking is a kind of obstacle to the student to express opinion, because they are afraid of speaking publicly. So that's why it will help them. So the development of the speech is maybe happening mostly while discussing something and it doesn't matter in what language. That's why after watching video, they can discuss everything in groups or in pairs, or prepare individual speech, and what kind of speech and what time you should decide as a teacher. So the fourth, video makes students to find out the information by themselves from different points of view and to prove it according to the knowledge received on the lessons. So the video can be connected with the topic. It's better, of course, connected with the topic of the lesson or with the topic of the unit. It can be connected with the real life situation or with any global maybe event, and you can give them tasks to express their opinions about seen information using special vocabulary maybe, or with paying attention to the grammar. Any tasks will be useful and will help students to speak. So as for vocabulary, of course the work at the vocabulary is a very important stage, and it usually comes before watching video. So if you think that there will be some maybe unknown words, new words, you can give them a special list of nouns, verbs, or maybe adjectives. And the better your students acquire the words, the easier they comprehend the information from the visual text. I hope that you know about this, and but it depends on the situation, on the group. Sometimes you can not give them the vocabulary before watching the extract, and maybe you will check their knowledge of vocabulary of the previous lessons describing the visual image. So if you use video at the lesson, it will be the way to develop skills in seeing, taking notes, speaking and writing through thinking over the seen information. So the films of different kinds help to make lessons more interesting, cognitive and productive. The information given on the screen increases attention and develops imagination, providing greater motivation for speaking and other types of activities during the lesson. Maybe it will be to draw something after the watching, or maybe it will be kind of maybe scheme or maybe statistical data. It depends. So the documentary films can be used as well to demonstrate links between different school subjects and to give the opportunities to find out useful facts or ideas of various types for their further analyzing and using not only at the lessons but in everyday life. So you know, some for example popular documentary channels, TV channels, you can use the video from there, National Geographic, Discovery, and if you ask your students to give their ideas what kind of documentaries they want to see, they can call almost, I do not know, almost every channel, because some of them will be interested in history, some of them will be interested in news, some of them only feature films, and so on. That's why video enlarges abilities in turning visual information into speech, showing the rise of the outlook and ability to apply everything while studying. As any activity, watching the video will help students to develop such approaches to learning as self-motivation to find out the information, time management, then thinking abilities, if you give the questions connected with the word why or what for, and it will help them to provide their own opinion. So I want to give you some tips for video lesson, and they can be, for example, they can use any type of the film, any genre of the film, and before the lesson you should see extract yourself. You should try to understand what you want your students to see, what you want your students to discuss, as well as think of questions to answer. So again, the questions can be different. It depends on the level of the language acquisition of the students. So for maybe weaker students, you can give factual questions, and maybe what was the picture of, or who was it, a boy or a girl. It depends on the extract. You can give some questions which should develop their thinking abilities. For example, how can you connect the video you've seen with the topic of our lesson? And you can give them some disputable question which arise the wish to speak about the topic you want them to present. So the second step will be you should choose the understandable parts of the film in order they will be able to hear familiar words. So if you give them, for example, the extract of the film which is with a lot of new words, I think they will remember only the pictures. But after watching this part with understandable vocabulary, you can ask them to describe the events using these words in their speech. So the third step is to choose the genre of the film. The genre can depend on your choice, or the program, point of the program, or students' interest, and any other reasons, but I think it's better not to use the action films, because mostly there are only actions and very little speech, and if the characters of this film, action film I mean, discuss anything, sometimes they can be maybe not very suitable vocabulary for our students. That's why it's better not to use the action film. The video part should be shown as many times as your students need, but not more than 3 times. So the usual way, according to the methodology, is to show or to give to listen something not more than 2 times. But I think that 3 times will be very helpful for them. But you can divide. For example, at first time you can show them the extract 2 times, 1 by 1, and the third time can be given if you want to check up their understanding. So if your task after watching the extract is connected with checking what they have seen, how they understood, so it is possible to compare what they have in reality and what was shown in the film. So as for the length of the chosen part, it also depends on your laziness. Of course, laziness, it is a joke, but even 5-10 minutes can give you the whole lesson engaged in inquiry, the extract or the topic of the scene pictures. So I think that 5 or 10 minutes will be enough for our students and for you to check up some skills maybe of the students, and to give them, if it is given like a summative work, you will work according to your criteria, and it is enough time to show for the students to show their best while creating the answers for your tasks. So the next idea is that of course it is very nice to have video every lesson, but we should remember it is better in the cases. So it's better to use video in some special cases. For example, before holidays, when not all the students are at the lessons, Then on the special occasions, maybe some students are engaged in other extra lessons or maybe some competitions or some school events, and not all of them are at the lesson again. And after holidays, again, when they not maybe come back from the holidays with the parents. So it is not necessary to give any material at these periods because not all of them are on the lesson, and you will not have a lot of students. So, but these cases are very special cases. Nevertheless, you can use video at the lesson when it is suitable to your topic, to your ideas, and for your criteria you are going to develop in the students. So what kind of tasks can you take, for example, for the video lessons? So, as everything in our school and in our lessons, the number of tasks and the length of them depends on the time you have, but usually we can, for example, use a kind of 5 main parts. So before you watch, it can be, for example, it can be some general knowledge quiz about the topic you are going to watch, or tick the correct info. It can be connected with their curiosity and with the knowledge they have from the books, from the other lessons, and so on. Or you can give them, for example, the task, put the words into the columns according to the topics. So maybe food, maybe people, maybe traditions, and so on. So while you watch task, so it is a special part when your students can can make any notes, can write something, and they can give them task to only to watch, or watch and tick the true sentences they hear, then correct false sentences, for example, or cross out the incorrect answer because the information was in the video. Then you can give them task, for example, to match the names and the dates. You can give them this task to watch without sound or listen without watching and try to guess what the scenes are, and again completing the table according to your topics and your ideas of the lesson. After you watch. So after you watch, it can be a kind of presentation, and it can be done in pairs, in group. It can be group work competition of different kinds. It can be a kind of survey or maybe role play, which are liked by our students. You can give them task to prepare a project due to the topic they have seen, or to connect the seen information with the topic you are going to give them, and it will be a kind of justification maybe of their ideas. So you can have such sections like grammar and vocabulary section and read and write section. So you understand that grammar and vocabulary section will help them to revise the material or difficult cases, but in short, of course, to maybe refresh their knowledge of word order of the sentences, of words using to describe any topic. So read and write section can be also of any kind you like. But as an example, I can suggest, for example, read and translate an article, read and translate again, maybe part of the article and translation of another part of the article. Or you can give the same article to translate by different people and then compare the translation. Then it can be writing a letter or description and etc. Again, after this part, you can give them fill in the table maybe with similarities, difficulties, or maybe with their ideas, or you can give them task even to write an essay. But if it will be done, if it is done on the lesson, of course it will be very short essay with one maybe topic sentence, not a kind of research work or a kind of great composition, but a short essay about impressions, about the situation which they saw in the film, and maybe possible ways out. They can describe this in their short writing. What else can you do it? You can watch and enjoy your time and work with the video. You can give them, for example, such a kind of task. You shouldn't give them the title of the film or genre of the film. You can give the words reflecting the context of the film or short part of the film. You can give them a number of words, adjectives, nouns, verbs to describe the situation. Then they should, using these words, they should write a kind of annotation or short information about what will be the film about. They should give the title to this film. Maybe it will be a kind of advertisement for the maybe video advert, or maybe advert in the newspaper, it depends. And they should write the summary. What will be this part of the film or film about? Of course, you can give them some special time for doing this, and mostly it can be from I think 15 to 20 minutes. Especially if your students are working in groups, they should have the time to collaborate, to discuss ideas, to choose the best one maybe, and then they should present a kind of summary of the story. After that, in 20 minutes, you can share the ideas with classmates, and you should choose the best, maybe one or two if you have. So if there is the difficulty, for example, in choosing the genre, you can say that this group will describe the film in the genre of adventure, that group in the genre of historical, maybe drama, or something like that. But usually it depends on the choice of the students themselves. So after they present their information and their description of one extract for general for all groups, it will be very interesting to watch the extract without sound, for example, and compare with their own ideas. So if it is a kind of scene of speaking people, or maybe if there is the scene where described something, it's very nice to show how they can sound the events of the film without listening to the text. So they should compare their descriptions with the scene pictures and see what do they have in common and what they have different. So the next step will be to discuss the done work, expressing your own opinions. So also, if you think that your students will be able, you can give them task, for example, to explain why or in what way they came to the conclusion that this film is a kind of adventure or fantastic or maybe real life drama. So they should explain why. They can explain it like, for example, the words which were given mostly connected with happy or unhappy life, or maybe story, or maybe situation, something like that. As the home task, you can give them an activity to translate the whole text of the extract. So if the extract chosen by you is a kind of text or description of anything, you can give them either English or Russian variant or Kazakh variant, and at home they should make the translation in written form, maybe due to the genre and due to their understanding. But in the translation, they should use information and the words which were exactly in that extract. So, as the keywords for such task, you can give, for example, once in my lesson, I gave them the extract from fantastic film, John Carter, and as usual, I didn't tell them the title of the film, and I didn't tell them what is this film about. I gave them only such a kind of keywords. You see them on this slide. For example, to call, to think, air, red, life, real, there is, to die, the reason, and so on. So the task was to use all these keywords to describe the part of the film, like an advertisement. And I had some groups, and I gave them the genre. So one group described the film using such keywords like something as a kind of program of National Geographic. Some of them were given the task to describe as drama and adventure film. So all the words should be used. Then we discussed the information, and of course, honestly to say, it was very funny to listen to their description. Why? Because I knew the real situation, but they didn't know. And so when you hear something funny like comedian or humorous description, of course you know that the situation is serious. But of course it's better not to say anything while they're discussing, because the next time it will be difficult for them to express own ideas. After discussing and after maybe presentation of the description of the film, of the annotation of the film, we watched the film, the extract itself. So I had chosen, by the lesson, I had chosen the extract at the beginning of the film, because it was very nice, because of description of the situation, description of the picture, and it gave the notion of the whole story, what will be the story about. So, and after that, I gave them Russian variant of description, about description of Mars, and I told them to translate it on the lesson, because it is very short, and again it was done in a group, and we then compare which translation was better. After that, I gave them very short extract, about 2 minutes if I'm not mistaken, maybe even less, and with the dialogue. So at first they saw the extract without listening to the words, without hearing any words, and they sounded the speeches of the characters. So we listened to them, and then of course the sound was turned on, and they listened, and they compare what was different and what was maybe in common with the dialogue. As far as I remember, nobody guessed the exact words or something like that. But sometimes you have the students who have already seen this film, of course, it's easier for them, but nevertheless, they do not remember each word. So, and you see the dialogue. They translated this dialogue into English, and the next task was to dramatize this dialogue. Dramatizing was very nice and very active part of the lesson, because the students showed all their feelings. They tried to follow the characters of the images, and they tried to express the maybe tragic situation of that time and of this extract. So in the whole 5 minutes of this film took the whole lesson to do all these tasks. So I think that it was very interesting. Then at the end, I asked my student to give the reflection and their impressions maybe of the lesson, and the part they didn't like, it was a kind of, it was translation, of course, from Russian into English, and the most interesting part was dramatizing. But nevertheless, in general, all of them liked the lesson as a whole. So now I want to come back to the different types of programs you can use for the lessons to develop different skills of your students. So I want to come back to the types of text, of visual texts you can use on your lesson. And as I already mentioned, it can be short learning films. You can find them, a lot of them, in YouTube. Maybe, of course, you should use the most maybe reliable and true to your topic. Then it should be, it can be thematical educational programs. For example, you know that such textbook like Headway, and they have good maybe a kind of special visual program connected, and it was called Windows on Britain. So Windows on Britain has some thematical videos connected with the real life of Britain, holidays, food, then historical events, and some others. So these educational programs are very easy to use because they even have handouts. It can be in colorful book, like of journal types, so very interesting. But nevertheless, if you find, for example, only video in YouTube, it's also possible. You can do any tasks for this video yourselves. But why I advise you to use this video? Because it is very short, but it is, but your students can know in short time very interesting facts about the schools maybe, or traditions of Great Britain and the people there, about their school life during this video, and they compare everything with our life or with their school life. So feature films. I only want to remind you that it's better to use any films, but not action films, because there is little speech and too many maybe pictures and images. And while using it, the students can give you only the context of these images, but not the words or ideas, why was it happening, for example. So documentaries also can be of any kinds. You can connect them with the topic, exactly with the topic of the lesson, or you can give them video and suggest your students to connect with the topic. So, and from my own experience, I can give you the idea that at the end of the lesson, I suggest my students of the 7th grade to watch the video about natural event when white bear came out of the cave with her two small cubs. So the extract is very short, it's about 1 or 2 minutes, and there you will see only mother bear and her cubs, but nevertheless the task was to connect this video with the social studies. So at first I thought that this task may be not understandable for the students, but as we were preparing for the exam in social studies, the next idea was that it is possible to connect. So the students, I gave this task in 3 groups, and the students of each group were very creative, and they found the connection between the video of natural event with the social studies. And even in one group it was said that there is the conflict between the mother bear and one of her cubs. Honestly to say, I was shocked and asked where you see the conflict. So the mother is very kind, she likes both of the cubs, and the student explained that one of the small bears was on the back of the mother, but the second was on the land, and he was trying to get the attention of the mother, and there was the conflict between 2 little bears. So and this remark gave me the opportunity to understand that our students can describe and can connect everything seen or maybe given the information with the real life situation or with the subject which you need if you gave them the exact task to compare or to connect with this subject or that subject. That's why I was very happy having heard this, because while preparing the tasks and watching this extract myself before the lesson, I even didn't think about the conflict situation. So about love, about renovation of nature, about friendship, maybe good relationships, family relationships, everything was thought, but not the conflict situation. So in this case, the student was right. So, as a conclusion, I want to maybe repeat again that you can use video almost every lesson, but in order it helps you to maybe increase the motivation of the students to develop their skills in the English language or any other language, so you should give it not very often. If you, for example, if we as teachers have difficulties in maybe defining what kind of genre to take or what kind of film will be interesting for the students to see, of course, beforehand you can ask them to give you a list of films they think very interesting, very knowledgeable, or useful to share with their classmates and with you. I think that the list will be great. Or sometimes we can find the information about the films in different groups in the internet. For example, once in Contact, I have seen a kind of maybe list of films you should watch. It was the title, but I do not remember the group exactly. And among them, I have chosen 2 films. So they were very short, about each of them was about 20 or 25 minutes, but the sense and the situation in the film was incredible. So one film was about the feelings of the girl on the eve of her birthday, when she was thinking that her life is finished because the next day she will be 17. And she was in a very gloomy mood, getting up in the morning, and while these 15 or 20 minutes, so her mood was changed by the events happening with her, and at the end it was the usual teenager with the happy thinking about the life. So this work was done by the students of Moscow Theatrical Institute. I do not remember, it's a pity. The second film which I have chosen was about one disabled person who doesn't have hands and legs, and at first he was a kind of object in the museum which moved from place to place, and at the end this museum met with the circus traveling around the country, and in 20 or 25 minutes you saw how the person changed. Even without hands and legs, he can get over the difficulties, and he became the actor in that circus. And from one side, maybe this film is not very kind to see by our students, but nevertheless this short film shows how any person in any situation can get over obstacles. And I think that this film can be a kind of motivation for the students to learn better than to get over difficulties in everyday life, and maybe, who knows, this film will be in their memory and it will help them in the life real situation. So, and again, the main idea is, it doesn't matter which video you choose. It depends on your creativity, it depends on the interests of your students, but you should remember that the tasks should be worked out beforehand, and they should be connected with the concept of our life and with the global context. And it will be better if you give the students the opportunity to express their own opinion again, and they will be able to connect the video with their real life situation. Thank you very much for your attention.